Hello, we are back with our life beginnings and always. Hopefully, we can continue on with this. I had a bit of a mic problem the other day, and yesterday I was trying to do recording this, and I had problems with it, but I figured it out. I figured out the problem. I thought it was just the mic, but apparently, no, it was not. I had to do some adjustments with the app and stuff. So, we left off here. Okay. And then summer ended. Move to the next step, yes. I'll never get tired of that view. Your mom stood beside you stood beside your mom's, Lizzie and Cove, as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we're so dull. Let's get out more. He didn't do real magic, huh? How did you figure that one out? Says Mom.
Duh!
'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like, says Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie dear. There's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mama a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. He looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You were aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't just sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan.
Ugh.
Mom, summer's almost over, says Lizzie. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we just play a little longer? You put on your best puppy dog voice. Oh, don't look at me like that, says Mom. Like what?
Please!
Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case, then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well...
No.
Oh, come on, Pew. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close to victory.
Okay.
Alright. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, You're welcome to come. You're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committable shrug to your mummy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelet at Tins and Trinkets. Oh, or maybe the playground or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? You silently made your own plans. Lizzie had her own ideas of what she wanted to do, but what you were going to do, you glanced over to Cove, considering. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Rude!
Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning her heel and heading off in the direction your mom's had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. You followed Lizzie, you stayed with Cove. I'm staying with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return.
Cool!
He made a gesture that you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading to the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. You were impressed over how far he had got it to go and still way out into the sea. You looked for your own rock. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw to. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thud a few feet away and slipped down into the water. Then you looked over at Cove. He didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair.
I've had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When did you get it off? How did you get it? I want to know how you got it. I was jet skiing. Really? That's not fair. It's not fair? stuck your bottom lip out in a pout. One time you asked your mothers, they just said, maybe when you're older, but Cove got to do it. He raised his brow at your reaction, but he didn't comment on it. He then continued to explain, I crashed. He gestured at his arm as if to say, and this was the result. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski.
Wow.
I'm not. Oh. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over, says Cove. He sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. Cool, you're gonna like it. Everyone's super nice. You'd only been to one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
You never had to move before, but you thought you could understand if you had to go to a new school all of a sudden with all new people. You'd probably be dreading it too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. Okay, I'll see you later. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right, Cove wanted to go back to his old home, the one that sat waiting someplace far from here, the one he would bring up whenever he felt sad. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. And it'll be all right. Sometimes you were sad about something. Your mom's said that to you. In the moment, you thought it couldn't possibly be alright because Sir Snuffleupagus lost his arm, or you skinned your knee, or you couldn't possibly finish all your vegetables. But in the end, they were always right. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around, Cove asked. The question was a little surprising. Of course. Your moms would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Cole smiled, then looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually. That I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. You spared a glance over at Cove and see the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. You could remember a long time ago when you first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, to listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you never met before. Things changing is hard. You held his hand. I'm gonna hold his hand. You were not quite sure what to say to that, so instead you reach out and take hold of Cole's hand. The one closest to you is the one in his cast, so you made sure you were very gentle. As you watched, Cole's eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though. I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring and everything. You'll feel like it's supposed to again. You will, it will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You definitely tried to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Cove returned one of his own. Chippy.
Thanks.
Thanks. It was nice where you were right then. But the two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. In between. Okay, so we get to change our look if we want to, but no, I'm not gonna change anything. Just leave it. We do get to change our feelings though. We can do that. We're at relaxed funness right now, so to relaxed crush. There we go. Ready. Begin step 2 at relaxed crush. Yes. So now we have a crush on Cove. Let's to change Cove's look. We're gonna keep the hair the way it is. That's good. He looks better without glasses on. Keep the glasses off. Shirt. I like that one. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, I keep that one. Pants. Yeah, keep those. For the left wrist. Yeah, keep that. For the right wrist. Yeah, that's good. Keep that. Alright, and a necklace. Yeah, there we go. And let's see, for the PJs, they have the same. Glasses, no. PJs number 2. Or PJs number 1. I'm gonna go with this one. Jacket. I don't like this one. It doesn't look good. Change it. That looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. And we're done. For personality, I'm gonna keep it warm, affable. In between mixed and sporty. And we're done. August entered and September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign. Cove would be staying in Sunset Verde for a while. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from other kids, from what you saw anyway. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time, as long as it was together. Sometimes it was like things were exactly the same as when you had first met. But other times, as you got older, you couldn't ignore how feelings had changed in meaningful ways. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. At first you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove could keep living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too for different reasons, he thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He had said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed, but you hoped that you could help him feel better still. Since even without the tears, he looked sad. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, he felt like it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed, and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. Toys and crayons that you used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that stacked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove will probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how he did in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he began opening up more too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids or neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little, Shiloh, well, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. Okay, so Shiloh's gone now. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks. But nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things, making less sad further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You lived in the same house and all that, but wasn't how it was before. Mom dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward nowadays. You were much too old for the word. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname, too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. And Mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from school who were her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. Okay, so she's 2 years older than we are, okay? You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Suarez. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cole's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, if Derek had the time for it. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed in small, big ways. You had too. As time went by, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then before you knew it, school was over, and summer vacation had come again. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was hot. The sun was hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were wide awake and about to head out. You made sure to slather on a generous amount of sunscreen so you didn't get burnt. You were looking in the mirror, studying the clothes you'd thrown on, when your bedroom door opened without warning. In the reflection, you saw Elizabeth raise an eyebrow. Give me a moment. I gotta do something. Have you been staring at yourself this whole morning? Could you knock next time? Go away, good morning. Could you knock next time? She ignored that, crossing her arms over her chest with a disgruntled expression. Clearly, she hadn't come in just to see you. Your special boy is at the door, like he always is now. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him, say thanks or whatever. You did not like the way she called him your special boy, but you knew by now that saying so wouldn't stop her.
Come on!
So come downstairs already, Elizabeth says. Really, that's great, I'm coming. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. Now alone, you focused on the mirror once again. Your reflection fit comfortably in the frame you were average height. Cove was really tall, Derek was kind of short, and you were pretty much the exact height that someone would expect for a 13-year-old. Let's see. Liked your height. Well, it suited you well in your mind. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while harmony on your situation, careless as they had been. Elizabeth's words plagued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to today, so this worked in your favor. It was when you spotted your reflection that you realized you were smiling wide. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. Step 2, second chance. Okay. Shoot. Come on, get in there. spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was pursuing through. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks!
Good morning, Chippy. Thank you for coming down. Mom's at the door with Cove. You can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Mom was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder.
Oh?
Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Ma reached forward, and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average, so you were little in her eyes despite being typical size for your own age. You tilted your body aside to dodge. Mom didn't bother trying to catch you. She simply smiled. You're the last one down today. You know that? Sorry about the wait. Okay. Oh, there's no need for that. What matters is that you're here now. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway as the longer strands of his hair idly drifted with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead it was carefully cut fruit. It made lots of sense that it was actually from Cole's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine any folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped into participating. At the sight of you, Cove smiled, but there was some nervousness to it. Hey, says Cove. You smiled back. You couldn't help thinking to when you first met Cove and how you became such good friends. Lately, though, you were starting to have different feelings for him. Hey, It's nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too, says Cove. His grip on the base of the gift tightened, and your heartbeat sped up, even if neither of you had spoken about it. Both of you were aware something new was going in your relationship. It was already shaping up to be another long summer. The best part was that the two of you had plenty of time to spend together and explore what was developing. His awkwardness over the tasks started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it. Your hands brushed over his just slightly when you took hold of the base. He flinched enough for you to know with certainty that he noticed it happen. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. And with that, the gift was accepted. I hope you and your family like this. It's a pretty good gift. I think so, anyway. He smiled earnestly. Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from. Thank you. Thanks. You're too cute sometimes. You're too cute sometimes. I'm not trying to be, says Cove. Just thank my dad for all this, okay? Haha, alright. Mr. Holden's behavior was different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics, and you since made up your mind on what your opinion was. He was great and kind of handsome. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are. You shared a confused look with Cove. As one. Both of you stepped through the open door into the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. You were happy at the sight of him. You were confused. You were displeased. I am happy at the sight of him. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever he showed up. After stopping a couple of steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up with a wide grin.
Hey!
Hey, my guys. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at Chippy's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just there? Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened. He gasped. "What's that?" says Derek. You followed his gaze, unsure. Then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit.
Nice!
Can I have some? It's a gift from my family. I can't give it to you. Derek pouted at your words, not hiding his disappointment. Okay. Then he nodded his head as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for effect. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh. The kid was all by himself, just walking, says Derek. Did you talk to him?
Nope.
I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, and was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. He blinked slowly. You looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove, when you first got here anyway. It kinda does, doesn't it? That's weird. He sounded almost found a small smile playing on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well, now that you say so, Derek says. But what you say, let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him.
Sure.
I'll do it, says Cove. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek then pointed down the street the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off with Derek leading the way. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in uncomfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up sand as he paced. It was true, he certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad like you had originally pictured. No, with his erratic movements and scrunched up expression. He came off angry. He started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you left him alone and let him sort himself out. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. "Hey, guy, over here," says Derek. The kid whipped around an impressive squirrel, carving deeper into his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong hostile energy radiated from him.
What?
"What is it? What do you want?" The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name?" "Jeremy. Was that it?"
No.
"No, I'm Derek. That's Chippy and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids in our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so it's cool to see someone else here." Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by the response. If steam could erupt from a person's ear, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it," says Jeremy. "What?" says Cove.
My parents.
"They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own?"
Right.
"Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Bird too, when he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad." That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek flinched beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation. Probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time or chore, says Jeremy. My parents' family is nearby, and we had to come see them. Ugh. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too? Asked Cove.
I guess.
That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? Asked Derek. No, says Jeremy. Jeremy crossed his arm with a huff and turned away. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they cared so much and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid? Kept quiet. Sorry, it must suck to be forced to do something you don't want. As if that does anything, says Jeremy. You turn to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar at all. Jeremy must have had hearing, though, because he caught the private exchange is scuffed.
Stupid.
Of course not. They're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Ko's cheeks flushed in crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger. Maybe both. Come on, Derek says. Apologize to Cove right now. You can't treat people like that. Cove smiled weakly.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry your eyebrows are so terrible. You crossed your arms over your chest. You are getting really tired of this. Well, what's wrong with you? Asked Derek. Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Wah. This is dumb, says Jeremy. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and scolded away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over until he became a speck in your vision. Silence reigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy, Jeremy, was going to be in the area for at least a while this summer. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping into the ground. He followed in Cove did shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
This sucks.
I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out with me, says Derek. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve today? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You completely forgot about it during the mini drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Glancing over to Cole, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must want some too. I need to save it.
Okay.
He said, still staring at the glistening fruits, but he didn't insist further. Yeah, it is a gift for the Prince family, after all. They should be the ones who get to have it. Sorry for asking, says Derek. It's fine. Pride once more descended upon your group. Cove turned towards the ocean, a peaceful expression on his face. Hey, you two remember The Land Before Time? The fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs liked lilies that were shaped like stars. Tree stars, Cove says.
Yeah.
Yeah, chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did it. I love that movie. Me too, says Derek. Derek didn't say anything further about dinosaurs or otherwise for the next few minutes. The three of you watched the waves crash onto the shore. Hey, Chippy, Cove says. Yeah? The two of you met eyes casually.
So,
That was pretty cool what you said back at the guy, Cove says. No, thanks. I was just saying what I thought. Derek chimed in a while in high spirits. You totally own him. I don't know what his parents say, but it's good at least somebody is around to tell him what's what. Yeah, says Cove. Derek then leaned back on his arms and contemplated the sky with a content side. So, are you both ready for summer break? Yeah. Cool for you. I wish I could say the same. It feels like there's a lot to plan for. And what about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends, says Cove. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Hey, Chippy, says Elizabeth. You glance over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden bought for us. She leered over you with arms folded. So, where is it? It's fine, and it's right here. You turned your body to face her and held up the bouquet, proving that it was in one piece. She inspected the fruit arrangement with a small frown.
okay.
Alright, looks good. But if you're all doing, if all you're doing is sitting around, you better take it back to the house now. It's not just for you. She grinned tauntingly, slyly glancing at Cove, who sat right beside you. Even if you are the one person who counts to delivery boy, this was up to his dad. It seemed everybody was in a mood to tease you and Cove today. Within moments, Cove's cheeks flushed red. He picked at the hem of his shirt, suddenly finding it interesting. He always became nervous when Elizabeth could strike at your relationship. Get going. This wasn't okay just because you hadn't done anything yet. Oh no. I think I hear that the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here, says Derek. Elizabeth blinked, confused. You looked around.
What?
What kid? I don't see you. Derek didn't bother explaining. He just lunged to his feet and ran off. Cove hopped up to gradually taking the opportunity to exit the situation. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. You ran. Without a word, you two got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day, says Derek. Yeah, for now at least. I still have to face Elizabeth when I go back home. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little longer. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. You had gotten a bit talking to for running off with the gift twice, even though you hadn't eaten any of it. But Elizabeth was also asked to be a bit more impatient in the future. In the end, the four of you had split the bouquet after dinner, and the event was fully resolved. That was a while ago now. Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Lorinda? Wow. Lorinda? Yeah, that person. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you were positive she was going to come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth too, but now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to be just you and Lee who spent time together. She was your only friend who was a girl. You weren't a girl yourself, so maybe that was why. But you had plenty of other friends. You know they don't live in the area. You see them in school, of course. They just happened not to be girls. Then a shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Prince Residence, Chippy speaking. You were greeted by a distorted, high-pitched jingle.
What?
Why do you sound so weird? Says Lee. Mom answers the phone like that sometimes. It's supposed to be polite. You should go with hi. That was something a robot would say. There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff, and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out, Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room.
Oh yeah.
You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about any cords trying to tie you down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in process, which is why you'd been set by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. That made sense. It was nice to keep everything in its proper place. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way up the stairs, smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. Alright, I'm here.
Cool.
Hey, did you know the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you, right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I'm more grown up, says Lee. I wish they'd changed their mind. We could call each other every single day, and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? Really great. We could even stay up late talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver. At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm gonna get get one, not get one until I'm all the way in college, says Lee. Squeezing the foam between your shoulder and ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to a college. School was such a big part of your life right now. You worked about as hard as most people and got plenty of average results as well. You guessed that was reasonable enough. Okay. You hoped to do just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal if they dropped some. Grades weren't the most important thing, no matter how good or bad they ended up being. Yeah. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be folded.
What's up? What's up?
You sound spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to going back. Let's make a petition for more vacation time. Yeah, everybody in class would sign it. Maybe some of the teachers too. Though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You can just do more when school's out. Let's see. I'm gonna pick this one. Jim is pretty great though. It kind of reminds me of when I was in high school, my first year of high school, freshman year. It was the time when I first realized that I was gay, and it was the first time I just started noticing guys at that time. So that kind of brought me to that. That's my real life, of course, not this pretend life, of course. But I'll go with it. There was all sorts of sports stuff during gym. Oh yeah, it can be fun sometimes. Learning new things to do. It was the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood. If I didn't go to school, I'd never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Says Lee. Learning new things can be cool. I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught things, not just some people.
Me too,
says Lee. But that was all. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken.
Alright.
Now I agree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about the summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Oh, tell me. I'm going to visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? First thing that comes to your head, asked Lee. Probably I'll spend time at the beach. I could have guessed that one. We leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend, even though it had been a long since you saw her and you'd be seeing her soon. You found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day, you sat up straighter. I was with Cole and Derek today, and we met a new kid. Like in your neighborhood? Uh-huh. His parents were visiting family. So it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Mean. He's a mean kid. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You can't. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was pretty popular with boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Hey, who are you to talk? You gave practically all your attention to boys, or maybe just one boy. I see how much you like Cove. You got me. Lee laughed at your affirmation, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister, who flung the door open. A frown echoed etched on her face.
Come on!
How long are you going to hog the phone? Asked Elizabeth. Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand. The other one lodged on her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up, says Elizabeth. With a sigh, you said your goodbyes to me. Lee, I have to go now.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, see you soon. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the headset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it, says Elizabeth. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in the wake. That was one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside. You laid in bed wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over at it with furrowed brows. From your vantage point, you saw only the moon and an open sky. You were scared, confused, annoyed, curious. What had caused that noise? Cocking up your head, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You wanted to get to the bottom of this. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar blue eyes. Familiar ocean blue eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular, and some parts stuck out further than others. So it theoretically wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because somebody could didn't mean you expected it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were balanced against a section of the wall that jolted out. His arms flexing with the effort to keep him upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hardly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside.
Hey.
Hi, Jimmy, says Cove. Ooh, no, Pierre. This is appropriate. What's up, Romeo? I need to talk to you, and couldn't wait until tomorrow. If I rang the doorbell, I knew your moms wouldn't answer, and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. The reason why I picked What's Up, Romeo? And it reminds me of the Romeo and Juliet original. It was an original movie that I've seen. I still have it on DVD. I have it recorded on DVD. Anyway, I like the part where Romeo is getting up out of bed and he's like butt naked walking over to the window and you see his butt. Oh my god, look at that butt. Oh my god. I just want to go over and squeeze it. Anyway, continuing. Well, besides with you, I mean, but that's why I did that. As explained as was, you were touched. Cove felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might try calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to Mom still, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. I would have done that too. Cove looked relieved. Small smile played. Okay, just a minute. That's better. Yeah, it's hard not to spy at least a little. It was about me, says Cove. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened varied. Sometimes you would go he would go during winter break, but usually he went during summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here. We waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them very soon. You were were going to see Cole's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cole felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across the room, his features pained with dread. Before they barely stay in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we are going to be all together again, the three of us, after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out. And now I feel really bad for feeling this way. Chippy, it's so... His fist tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already, and I'm not a little kid. Though he met your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. I'm sorry, Cove, you know I'm here for you. The tense line of Cove's shoulders eased. Thanks. That makes me feel a little better. Like I'm not freaking out for no reason. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the day started. You had woken up earlier for summer vacation, but now things seem so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood, being so rude, and as if that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that. It seemed complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time? Chippy? The sound of your name said quietly pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you, concerned.
Are you okay?
Asked Cove. Who, me? I'm more worried about you. You don't have to forget about yourself for me. I want to listen to you too. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. Moonlight from outside cast shadows across his face and lit up his eyes. They seemed to sparkle with his smile. Just one look brightened her mood somewhat. You know, I think I don't want to talk anymore about this, says Cove. He looked away, his hips thinning into a line, and rubbed his arm. But I kind of don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer? Just doing something else? Asked Cove. He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? course you could always stay here, Cove. You held his gaze comfortably, confidently, hoping your words got across to him. Cove perked up at your response. A smile appeared on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight, you were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you never want to undo. It felt totally natural to let him into your little world. That initial friendship had deepened so much over these past years, and you were certain there was room to get even closer. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read, though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad. He must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. You hugged him. You moved closer and whipped your arms around him. It wasn't much, but you hoped the contact helped even a little. Cole froze up, startled. After a moment, his arms came up and he returned your hug. The two of you remained like that for some time. He might have mumbled something to you, but it was too quiet to tell what it was. When you pulled back, his expression had softened into something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken, often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cole felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your tan skin. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there because it's been long and I need to take a break. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to click that like button and click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon and become a Patreon contributor. I really appreciate it, because the money that I get there through Patreon will be going directly to charity. Worthy charity, of course. Worthy, of course. I don't see a dime of it myself. It's going straight to charity. That's why I'm doing this, and that's why I'm making videos and trying to earn money through Patreon people contributing to my Patreon. So I encourage you to please, if you can, go to my Patreon and contribute to my Patreon. Thank you, and I will see you guys later.